UFC Vegas 98. We have 13 fights in the UFC Apex, and I am looking forward to this card. It isn't the biggest name value-wise, but there are some fights that I think are going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to breaking it down. Starting at the bottom, working my way to the top. So make sure you leave a like on the video. Let me know in the comments what your favorite bets on this entire card are. If you have a favorite underdog, if you're making a parlay, let me know in the comments. Click subscribe, turn those post notifications on. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Wager Wars with a new episode, bringing on Blood Money, taking on an unknown, a last-minute replacement that you guys are going to really like. So check that out tomorrow night. If you miss it live, go to the live tab after and check it out. But let's get into it, man. First fight on the card, we got Junior Tafa taking on Sharaf. I don't know if this is actually going to be the first fight, but this is a short notice fight for Sean here. He's stepping in for our favorite, Chris Barnett, MMA's low-key favorite fighter. But this is an interesting fight, man, honestly. This is probably the one out of the 13 fights, obviously, because it did just get booked yesterday, that I'm probably going to want to look into the tape a little bit more. Not that there's a ton on either guy, but kind of want to look into this one a little bit more, just because I've only had, a couple hours to do so far. But, this is a heavyweight fight, two lower level guys. Junior Tafa's been on a bit of a tough run. I don't think he's going to have to worry about the grappling like he did in his last fight with Walter Walker. That heel hook was weird. And then Roger De Lima, that was short notice. It was a tough matchup. De Lima's actually really good. But at the same time, still 5-3 in the UFC, low level heavyweight. Respect to him. I actually am a fan of the Tafa bros, but they go in there and just bang it out. But in this fight, I do think it's probably just going to be a brawl. Someone's probably getting knocked out in the first round. So if I was going to be betting it, at least where I stand right now, I probably would have to lean Sean. He's a big boy. He's kind of sloppy. Four fights, has only even beat. He had 2 amateur fights. Out of all 6, only 2 of them even have a win on their record, even after they fought. And then one, like most of these guys, even after they fought, went on to lose more fights. Only 1 out of his 6 fights was against a guy with a winning record. I think that was his last fight. But, it's probably just going to be a slobber knocker. Someone's going to get slept. I guess the pick for now will be Junior Tafa. But on my video later in the week, we'll talk about this one more. I want to look into this one. Out of all the fights, it's the one I need to look in more. But if I was going to bet, it's dog or pass. Unranked heavyweights, 2 guys that, super green. But I guess the pick, gun to my head, would be Junior Tafa by KO round 1. Moving on, we got Mckenna taking on Julia Polastri. She took on that Josephine Knutson girl in the last one. There's that funny clip of her getting front kicked to the body, and she just, rolls her eyes. That was funny. She's like, so annoyed. Stop kicking me. It was kind of funny, but Mckenna been on a little bit of a tough run. I guess 3-2 over the last 5, but she kind of had a good amount of hype going into this Reed fight, and then I don't know what that was, because sat there and struck for the first 2 rounds and got outstruck by a girl who all she can do is strike, and then when she tried to start wrestling, she got her down, and was able to win kind of easily. In this fight, I do think Polastri's got some decent enough takedown defense, and not that we have to see it a ton. And, even though she's not as known because this is her UFC debut, or that Knutson fight was her debut. She won on Dana White's Contender Series. The Knutson fight was her debut. But I actually think that Josephine girl's pretty good. And it was just a different stylistic matchup. And this one, man, Mckenna, you're going to hear it all week. Literally probably the shortest reach in the UFC. But her striking in general is just not good. She needs to get the fight to the mat. Her wrestling's just not that great, though. She's a jiu-jitsu girl. If she gets Polastri down, yeah, could be the end of the round. Maybe it could be a submission, even though, I don't know if it's going to be that easy, because I think Polastri's grappling is not that bad. But, on the feet, and I just feel like this fight's going to play out mostly on the feet, and Polastri's just going to have more firepower. She's just more athletic, just a better striker. So I think Polastri wins. I'm not trying to play this line. I think it's probably pretty accurate. Polastri 0-1 in the UFC, so it's not like do I really want to lay -150 or something? I think it's I thought it was a little lower, better than that. But regardless, I'd be good. When I first saw this matchup, I was like, oh, nice. I'll bet Polastri as an underdog. And then I guess people were on it. So the Corey McKenna hype train's kind of died down, obviously, after that last loss. But, this would be a close fight, probably. Moving on, we got Dan Argueta. Excuse me. I breathed wrong. But Dan Argueta taking on Cody Haddon. And this is a fun fight, too, man. Cody Haddon, I bet him on the Contender Series in this Billy Brand fight. Went in there, got it done easily. I didn't even honestly know he was gonna be able to make it look that easy. But he's pretty well rounded. I mean, Australian guy, but he actually can wrestle a little bit. Decent jiu-jitsu, and I do think he probably has a striking edge here. And while I do think maybe he even has the better jiu-jitsu and striking than Argueta, I feel like overall, man, this could be a bad matchup for Cody Haddon here. And this, I was excited for this guy getting into the UFC. I think he's really good, and I still do think he has potential. But, only 8 fights, and I know Argueta only has 11, but, it's just a big step up in competition. And whereas Dan Argueta, man, lost to Damon Jackson, and everybody's been talking about that on Twitter, but it's like the context. That was short notice. That was up a weight class. And, man, Damon Jackson's a big 145er. So there was a huge size discrepancy, and it was short notice. And Damon Jackson's no slouch, man. He's no chump. So, people love to trash Damon Jackson like he's not pretty freaking good. But, the Ronnie Lawrence performance, I know there was like a premature stoppage. Maybe it was, but I'm a Ronnie Lawrence guy. And, man, it's gone downhill lately. But, that was impressive to me, man. Dan Argueta going in there and doing that to him, that was impressive to me, honestly. And obviously the Miles Johns one wasn't. Back-to-back no contest, but this one was because, got beat up, but then, Miles Johns popped. So, I don't know how much you want to read into the test, but, Miles Johns also been a guy I've been very successful betting. People love to sleep on him as well, honestly. I will say I bet Dan Argueta in that Matsumoto fight, and I think I either had him on the money line or by decision, and it looked like it was going to look pretty good, and then, Matsumoto just latched up that sub, and I do think Argueta's kind of is, going to be, the way he shoots these takedowns is going to be throwing his neck into stuff, but I don't think that's really something I'd have to worry too much from Cody Haddon. Not just because he did it in his last fight, but it does seem like that's probably going to be going to the UFC, like his best path on the ground is like getting to their back. He's good there, but I don't know if he's going to just have the front chokes that Matsumoto showed in that. That was a nasty guillotine. And, I feel like Dan Argueta can put him on his back, man. I think they're probably going to do a good bit of grappling, and I just trust Dan Argueta to use that American wrestling. So I think he gets on top, and I think he gets it done. And he's the underdog here, so I haven't bet him yet because I have a feeling this line's going to keep growing. But I'm going to be betting Dan Argueta, it looks like. Don't play it yet. Just sit back and wait because he's at plus 155. But I have a feeling I don't think it'll get crazy, but I think we might be able to get like plus 170. But just watch it close because if it starts to drop, then, get in on it. But, I'm going to be watching it like a hawk as I do. We move on, though, I'll pick him by decision, though, if I didn't say that. We move on to the next fight. We got Jonathan Pearce taking on Pat Sabatini, and this is a fun fight. It's going to be a competitive fight, in my opinion. Jonathan Pearce, bigger than most guys in this division, not just height-wise, but he's a pretty big dude, and he's pretty durable typically, other than that in that freaking, why am I blanking on his name? Veteran, freaking OG. Lozon. Other than that was just a weird showing in his debut, but, is what it is. Typically super durable guy. He was known for being the do something boy and then getting choked out by Brito when he was dominating. That was definitely pretty tough. Pat Sabatini, on the other hand, great grappler. Smashes dudes, but just doesn't have the best durability, man. If you hit him clean, you can put him out. You can, to be fair, another shout, Damon Jackson, and then Diego Lopez. And then who was the other one? Not that it was anybody that's going to blow your hair back, but... Oh, that was an injury. Didn't we? Oh, no. Chepe Mariscal beat him, but it was a split. Yeah, actually, my boy Robert Watley, local here. Got a lot of connections to that guy. But, Yeah, in this fight, I do think it's going to be another grappling match like the last fight, and that is. I don't think it's going to be as grappling heavy. I don't think maybe Pat Sabatini will try to turn it into that, and I think he probably can take Jonathan Pearce down. But I think Jonathan Pearce probably going to be. Maybe he tries to, because Sabatini's going to bring that wrestling, he tries to get on top himself. But overall, he's probably going to look to strike. So maybe he can completely withstand that wrestling from Sabatini. I don't think Pearce has the most power, so that should help Sabatini. And I do think Sabatini's kind of live here, so I can't pick him. I just can't. I'm off Sabatini for now. I need to see more before I'd be willing to, if it was a bigger number, then maybe. But I think the line's probably pretty accurate. This is going to be a close fight, man. Sabatini, I could see him getting on top and riding out 2 of these rounds, potentially even finding a submission. But if if Pearce can, take this fight I think he'll probably take over a little later, especially if he can keep them striking for as much as possible. So it's going to be close. I'll take Jonathan Pearce by decision. I don't think I'll be betting that fight, though. Moving on, we got another big UFC debuter, Ramazan Temirov taking on CJ Vergara. CJ Vergara kind of becoming a veteran, a little bit of a, man, I'm blanking on, anyways, he's that guy that they're going to, I'm missing the huge, somebody put it in the comments the term I'm thinking of, holy crap. You can tell it's 1 a.m. right now, and I've taken 25 bong rips, but, Vergara's tough. He's a this word that I cannot think of and is driving me nuts. But he's that guy they're gonna give these. And if you're not UFC quality, he's gonna beat you. But if you are, you're probably gonna beat him. And I honestly do think this guy's UFC quality. The record is a little because is he fighting good guys out there? I mean, it's not the worst regional competition I've ever seen, but it's not the best. And at least he's doing what he's supposed to do. His 2 losses were back-to-back, but other than that, he's been doing a lot of dominating, knocks dudes out, can take you down. He's looking for the finish always. He doesn't really look like much of a submission threat. It doesn't even look like he looks for him. He's just looking to pound you out when he gets you on top of you. And then on the feet, he's got some power. He'll throw hands. He's fun. He's got a fun style. My God, we've been seeing a lot of these wrestlers who don't have the most fun style. And I'm a grappler. I love grappling, but, this guy's not like that. He's going to push for the finish. Vergara's tough, though. That's the thing about him is he's got cardio and he's got durability, and that's pretty much what he brings to the table. He's tough. He can give you a hard 15. He's got heart, and, that's about it, really. I mean, he's general. He's a generalist, really. I think Temirov wins. It's just, do you want to see a debut stunt at this type of number? He's like minus 350. I wouldn't bet it. I see him at minus 275, I think, on Betway. I considered it, but I just think I'll lay off. I considered parlaying that, but UFC stunt or debut stunt, other than that, I think on paper, this should be Ramazan all day. So give me him to win. Probably decision, man, because honestly, Vergara is tough. So it's tough if you're laying minus almost 300 on something you think's going to decision. But we move on to the next fight, man. Clayton Carpenter taking on Lucas Rocha. Rocha, a guy you might remember from Contender Series. He missed weight. They had to cancel the fight because he missed it by 5 pounds. They bumped it up a weight class, and then he went out and won. A little cheap, but it is what it is. I will say, typically, I love to see a guy he's the younger guy, but he actually has way more fights, more than double. That's great and all. But, so if you're going to be on what I consider right at the top of too young, I always say UFC, man, when I see 22 and you're in the UFC, it's just why not go get more regional experience? Especially at the higher weight classes. Dude, you're not even in your prime in the higher weight classes till 35. Why not just wait a little bit? But in the lighter weight classes, a little younger, but still 24, he's still got so much time. I mean, at least he's got a ton of fights, but it's just how much experience are you really getting out of that when you watch some of these fights? I mean, he's fighting just guys in Brazil that are part-time fighters, super one. There's either a striker and then there's a jiu-jitsu guy, and they're not full-time MMA guys. And whereas Clayton Carpenter, it's not like he's fighting nothing but killers. But, he fought Edgar Chairez and beat him. And he had some trouble in that fight in that first round, but Chairez is a freaking beast, man. Like that's a legitimate UFC quality win. And then in the Ronderos fight, yeah, I mean, that guy's 4-2 right now overall, but like still two tough matchups for him, and he went in there and did what he was supposed to do. And he had a nice amateur record too, like or at least like had some experience there and some submissions, couple of knockouts. Like he's well rounded, man. He's technical everywhere, and I think he's probably just the better fighter. I will just say I do like that Lucas. He's a dog, man. He's definitely going to be the smaller guy here, even though the guy misses weight. Dude's 5'3", and he misses weight. Like, you probably want to see him on the scales, I guess. He's like a little flyweight Kelvin Gastelum. But I feel like Carpenter should win. But Lucas is a dog here, man. And, I could see him taking over late potentially. And, Carpenter, this is only his 8th fight, and you're getting almost minus 200. So, not something I would be looking to do, but... he's training with good guys, killers around him. He's confident. He's got that like a little bit of, I don't know. He's got that chip on his shoulder. It looks like he's, taking his career super serious. Where I feel like Rocha's kind of bullying. He's kind of a bully, man. I mean, his one knockout loss was cutting down to 115, so I give him a little bit of a pass there. But dude, these wins are just like, come on, bro. Like, it's kind of meh. But give me Clayton Carpenter. I do think it probably goes 15, though. So give me Clayton Carpenter by decision. And we will move on to another fun fight. This one is going to be a lot of fun, probably for as long as it lasts. We got Nico Price taking on Thimba Gorimbo. Thimba, great story. I really like the guy, but this line does scare me a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nico Price, he's coming off a win, but... he hasn't been looking great. Even though it's not like he's 40 years old. He's 35. People talk about him like he's 40, but it's just he's taking a lot of damage the way that he fights. He's not the most technical guy. He's kind of got by on like just his unorthodoxness, and he's definitely has power. And Thimba's hittable, man. Thimba is hittable. Where he is going to be, I mean, Nico's pretty big for the weight class, but Thimba's even bigger. But I could see Nico cracking him and knocking him out. And the way Thimba fights, it's like, I could see Nico taking him down if he wanted to. I mean, I think Thimba's working on that, so I honestly think either could get takedowns. It's like, who's going to go after it? But I could see Nico clipping him and knocking him out. It's like, I would not be looking to bet minus 350 as the range I think it's in right now. And you're crazy, man. If this was like minus 200 and you wanted to parlay it, I get it. But this line's getting so crazy where it's like I already told myself, and I actually really like Nico Price. Like, I'm a fan of this guy. Dude's got like 27 kids, so I always root for him to get that dub because he needs it. It's not like he's making a ton of money, but I don't know. I think this could be a tough matchup, and so I do think Thimba should get it done. It's his fight to lose, but I don't know, man. Just this price is off. I think Thimba should be like minus 220, minus 250 at most. So. But I've told myself I'm not betting Nico until I just got to see more. And yeah, he got a win in his last fight. But Alex Morono, who we're going to be talking about, like that was a weird fight, man. Neither had a great night. So give me Thimba Gorimbo. I think he'll probably end up clipping him at some point. But it's just the line, man. It's crazy. We'll move on to the next one, though. Daniel Rodriguez taking on Alex Morono. Speaking of which, and this is an interesting one, man. This is an interesting one because... this is kind of the story of a lot of the fighters on this card, because there's a lot of fighters on this card that I really do root for and like, but are on some tough runs. And DRod and Alex Morono are another example of that. Alex Morono was a huge favorite against Nico Price, and it was a bad performance. The Court McGee one was a bad performance. He barely won that. Even though Court McGee had a good performance last, it was still, they neither looked good. Joaquin Buckley, honestly, that loss was better than most of these last couple of fights. Tim Means, okay, got it done, He's beating, most of the time he beats guys. He fights to the level of his competition, man. That's the problem because, there's no reason why he shouldn't be beating Nico Price. No disrespect. I just said I really like the guy. But, and then he can give Buckley a close fight. It's like, I don't know. I do think Buckley's improved a lot, but still, it's just weird. And DRod on the other side is just, I'll give you a pass for the Ian Gary, even Neil Magny, because Neil Magny is a veteran, and I think if you grapple DRod, that's the path. But man, Gastelum, that was tough, man. That was tough because Gastelum isn't even. He's looking bad himself lately, and to go in there and be dogging you, making you look like a little bit of an amateur there. That was a bad look, man. That was when I was really like, wow. As a fan of DRod, this is not good. So it's just tough to be over minus 200, and But both these guys are just, again, these are two vets, and I really respect the hell out of both these guys, man. Two absolute veterans, and I really don't like to say this, but it's just like they're both kind of fades right now, man. No disrespect. They're both kind of just, it's fade versus fade. I feel like DRod is the bigger, he is older, but Alex Morono, I don't know if it's age as much as, maybe it's just not all the way locked in. Like, I know he's got a lot of other stuff going on outside of the cage. But DRod does have size. He is going to have power and speed and athleticism. That's why I root for Alex Morono too, because we're like the same body type and we're like the same size. And, he's another unathletic white guy like me. So, it's, I like to root for the guy. But I think DRod gets it done. But it's just tough to be confident in him after some of these last performances. Moving on, Josh Fremd taking on Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Abdul, like minus 165, I think, right now. Fremd coming off a tough loss. And honestly, because of recency bias, I'm surprised the line's not even more wide, just because Fremd is like, man, that was a bad performance against Petrosky. I mean, I think he landed like under 20 strikes. That was rough, dude. Petrosky straight up laid on this guy. And, man, it's like Fremd wrestling background, but, he's kind of a noodle out there sometimes. And, the striking is just nothing's with real power. And on the other side, it's like Abdul, yes, his gas tank's not great. He tends to be a one-round guy. He's also 39. But it's a middleweight, so you can last a little longer, but still, 39 is still 39 at middleweight. This is still not heavyweight, but Abdul still, for a 39-year-old, MMA fighter, it seems like, the long layoff he was forced to have with the legal trouble and all that. Like, I don't think this guy's, like, super banged up. He doesn't having a bunch of injuries and stuff. Like a lot of these guys that are fighting at 40, but, at the same time, it's just, it's tough to be really confident in him, because if Fremd can't, the one thing I'll say about Fremd is he's tough and he's got a gas tank. And Abdul, like, after it goes after the first round, I feel like if you're betting him, you kind of just got to do knockout or knockout first round even. I do feel like he knocks Fremd out, man. I do feel like there's a big speed, athleticism, power advantage here, and Abdul should knock this guy out in the first round. But if it doesn't, it's going to get dicey, so I can't knock anybody taking Fremd shot. I would probably take like late round props or like decision or like third round or decision for Fremd, but if I was going to play him. But I'm on Abdul. I think he knocks him out in the first round, and we'll move on to the next fight. I wouldn't be better than that. We move on to the next fight on the main card. We got Chidi and Jaquani taking on Jared Gooden, and I know I'm posting this late, so you're going to have to get, 2 yawns so far. Don't beat me up in the comments. When I do these late, everybody's like, oh, bro, 17 yawns. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're going to try to... I need to stop saying the word yawn because it's going to make me do it again. Anyways, in this fight, Chidi and Jaquani, he's a guy I've bet as an underdog a couple times. That Dusko to Dorvek fight, I bet him by knockout. That was a friggin' fun cash right there. But I did bet against him in that... it was the fight. It was the Marc-Andre Barrios fight. Didn't see that coming. And in that last fight against Reese McKee, I had a big bet on Chidi there that I played early. I got a good line on that, and I bet it heavily. And I put it in a parlay, and I think I actually put him in like 2 parlays. And you guys know I rarely parlay. I was very confident in Chidi. Reese is a former featherweight. And my God, he did clearly win, even though I think, didn't a judge like give that to Reese, and it was like crazy? Because Chidi clearly won, but it was a little too dicey. It wasn't a good performance, man. At range, I do think he can pick Jared Gooden apart. But, man, it's like Jared Gooden throws a lot more volume. He he could crack him and knock him out. Chidi's been knocked out a lot. He's fought some, decent threats, but still, like, this isn't a guy you typically see as a favorite. Gooden throws more volume. He could knock him out. And the crazy thing is, I really think if he wanted to, he probably could put him on his back. Not that Gooden's a wrestler, but Chidi can get taken down, man. He's like the classic 6'3" welterweight that, like, if you wrestle him, you could probably get him down. I don't know if Jared Gooden's going to try, but, wouldn't be a bad idea. Because he's got some heavy ground and pound if he gets on top of you. God. But, you know what I need? Good old fresh PBR. That'll wake me up. Alright. I just feel like the paths, there's multiple paths there for Jared Gooden, man. I think he could clip him. He could knock him out. Again, you're 30, you still got time to grow at 170. How do you not have a coach that's saying, yo, you're fighting Chidi and Jaquani. Let's just try 2-3 takedowns. Let's see what happens. What's the word? If he stuffs 3 takedowns in a row, we move on. Or unless, you get close. But if you just stone cold stuffs you a couple times, then okay, we can start boxing with him. But it's always a good idea against Chidi. When the paths are multiple paths to victory and he's the underdog, man, I'm on Gooden here. I think he wins. And I'm going to be betting him. Again, just like Argueta and just like somebody else we're going to be talking about, don't play it yet because it looks like the line, if anything, might be going in our way. People are saying Chidi's going to knock him out. And also, I just like that dog in Gooden, bro. This guy's a dog. He's going to fight for my money. I don't know if Chidi's really got that dog anymore, man. Not only in those losses, but even in that Reese McKee fight. That's a former featherweight, bro. And he's not, no disrespect to Reese McKee, because that man is tough as nails, and he'll fight anybody. You guys know him for fighting Hamzat and taking an absolute beating. But, my God, you need to get him up out of there. And you need to make it decisive in the very least. The fact that was a remotely semi-close split is disgusting. It shouldn't have been a split, but still, gross. Give me Jared Gooden. I'm going to play him, and I will also pick him straight up. We move on. Grant Dawson, Rafa Garcia. Is this the biggest underdog or favorite on the card? I think it might be. Oh, yeah, first or second, but Grant Dawson, minus 400. You would think people will learn their lesson with that, but I get it because Rafa Garcia has 1 knockout in his career in 19 fights, but is he really? He's mostly a submission guy, and is he going to submit Grant Dawson, who's got better grappling? But oh cool, I traded the yawn for beer hiccup. Does Rafa Garcia have the sniping strikes that Bobby Green does? Is he a quick starter like Bobby Green like that? No. But he has some decent grappling. Everybody's just like, oh, Grant Dawson's going to ragdoll him. It's possible, but, Rafa Garcia, his takedown defense has historically not been bad. I don't think Grant Dawson is a guy you can trust at minus 400 because, Rafa Garcia has 1 knockout in his career. So if they give you a crazy line on knockout, man, it might be one of those, like I've in his Moicano's last 2 fights, I keep saying it, just because somebody has no knockouts. When you get those crazy props, man, you get somebody who's susceptible to a path to victory just because his opponent doesn't have a ton of methods or wins in that method. It could still be live. I saw it was only plus 1,000, though. That wouldn't be enough for me, I don't think. He's got 1 out of 19 fights. Grant Dawson's not like he's been knocked out 5 times or something. It's just, I do think that line might be a little off, or this money line. I will pick Grant Dawson because I think he gets on top. I think he gets the takedowns. But I do feel like the striking, neither guy has great striking. So it could get dicey, man. I wouldn't be parlaying Grant Dawson at minus 400, man. I just don't think he's a guy you parlay at minus 400 in the UFC. We move on to the co-main event. We got Brad Tavares taking on Jung Young Park. This fight was supposed to happen recently. Why did it get canceled? I've been trying not to do this to save time, but Park not medically cleared. I don't think they ever said why, but doesn't cut a lot of weight because he's a small middleweight, honestly, and Tavares will be the naturally bigger guy. It's not like he's a super old guy, he's only 36 years old, but 29 fights and a lot of those, 25 of those in the UFC, And he's fought nothing but killers, man. I was going to go down the list, but he's fought everybody. Everybody who's ever fought at middleweight has fought Brad Tavares. Anybody who's ever been anything. So, I can't, when this fight was booked the first time, I was really considering a Tavares moneyline shot. But, now the line's closer. People, I think a lot of people were on that. So, a lot of smart money went on that. So, I think, the bookies kind of tightened it up. And at this line, it's just like, I saw Jung Park at minus 175. This was the second leg I thought about parlaying with Temirov. I didn't do the parlay, but it was like plus 118 or something, putting them together, maybe plus 115. I didn't do it because, it takes a lot for me to parlay, man. It's just not my thing these days. But at the same time, I do feel like he should win the fight, man. I will say the takedowns are going to be tough, and he likes to mix in those takedowns, and Tavares has great takedown defense, so, that could be tough. But I do feel like he's the better striker. At this point of his career, at least. Brad Tavares looked a little hesitant lately, and also it's like his thing has always been that cardio and durability. And that durability, I don't know if it's still there. I mean, I'll give him a pass. And that, Bruno Silva, is he the best fighter? No, but he does crack. And Gregory Rodriguez, like, that's the one I really meant, is Gregory Rodriguez, like, that's a dog, man. Like, he can knock you out. So, I'm not too ate up about that fight. I do feel like Brad Tavares, could he get it done? Yes. He's got good takedown defense. He's typically pretty durable. I don't think Jung Park has the power of Gregory Rodriguez, even though, he's shown it before. But in that fight, Jung Park almost beat Gregory, but it is what it is. I feel like he's the more complete fighter. I do feel like he's got more left in the tank. I think he should win the fight. It's just, Brad Tavares, if you want to go in there and grapple him, which typically Jung Park does want to do, he could spring the upset, man. But, if this was 3 years ago, I'd be on Brad Tavares here for sure. But, it's not 3 years ago. It's today, or it's Saturday. And, I do feel like Jung Park, even if he can't but I think he probably does end up getting him down at some point, honestly. Not that his wrestling's so crazy, but he probably will get in like a takedown or two. But I think he probably just outstrikes him on the feet. And I honestly could see a KO. I really could. I think Brad Tavares is on the tail end. But I guess I'll pick decision. Oh, man. I don't know. I'll pick decision, but I think the KO could definitely happen. We'll move on, though. Main event. We got Brandon Royval taking on Tatsuro Taira. This is a fun fight, honestly. I know this hasn't been like the biggest name value fight or fight card, but if you made it this far, man, like the video. Let me know in the comments what bets you have. If you're making a parlay, you like a favorite underdog, like the video, turn those post notifications on. Because in this fight, I'm really excited for it, man. Taira, coming off that win over Alex Pereira, was a little weird. I'll say I am biased. I bet Perez on the money line there. But I gotta say, like, people are like, oh yeah, no, he just like not fluke at all. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like I didn't say fluke. In a fight, if you damage your opponent, it is what it is. But like people are like, well, you went for this technique where it's like, come on, man. Like I've been on both receiving and giving end of injuries like that in the gym, and it's like, come on, man. Like I'm not. Again, it's a cage fight. Like that's part of it, but. Let's not, like, act like it was, like, he went in there and just, like, steamrolled Perez. I will say, like, that was a good moment for him, even if that injury didn't happen. But still, it's just, like, let's not act like it was just a surefire win. But, regardless, got it done, 16-0, and you cannot take that away from him. On the other side, 16 wins, but 7 losses. But, it needs to be said, I mean, look at the quality of these opponents, Did get finished... But these are his only 2 finished losses, and it was an injury, which he went and avenged in his last fight, and close fight. Think he could have won either way, but that still is like one of the best guys in the division, champion. And then other 2 losses to the champ. One got finished, but in his last fight, a lot of people thought he beat the champ. He could be the champion right now. So this could be a title fight, especially because it's 5 rounds. And so that's, when you put it in that perspective, it's like you got to look past the record. And, I do think Taira's got a ton of potential. And just because I faded him in his last fight, and spoiler alert, I'm going to be fading him in this fight. Doesn't mean I think this guy's going to be great. I do think this guy's going to be great. But it's the same reason as I had to take the big plus money in the last fight, is I just think this is a little too much too soon. And if this was even money, I would get people on it. But, I think Royval gets it done, man. 5 rounds, I think, helps him. He's had a couple 5-round fights. He's going 25, and he's winning the later rounds. He's putting it on Pantoja late. Okay, that might be a stretch. It was competitive as hell, but he was doing good work, and he having good moments late and not tired. And Taira, we haven't seen. Can he have a great gas tank? Yes, but I haven't had to see it fully get tested for 25 minutes. This could be a spot where it's a little too much too soon. So I just feel like, could Royval latch up a submission of his own? Yes. Do I think that's going to happen? No. But could he? Yes. Could he catch him with a knee and elbow? Could he knock him out? Yes. Could he also win a 25-minute decision? Yes. So when you're giving me, again, all these paths to victory, and he's the underdog, big underdog, plus 250 right now, and it's only going in our direction. So again, just like the other 2 underdogs I talked about on this card, sit back and wait, because they're all going in our direction. But I'm going to be betting them. I'm on Brandon Royval to round out the main event with an underdog. Let's go through my picks. I got Brandon Royval by decision. I got Jenya Park. I'm really... You know what? I'm going to go with the KO. I think he gets Brad Tavares. OG, respect. I think he gets him out of there. And then I'll go Grant Dawson decision. Jared Gooden. I'm going to say knockout. Abdul Razak Al Hassan by knockout. You know what? No. Jenya Park by decision. Sorry. Thimba Gorimbo by knockout. Daniel Rodriguez by decision. Clayton Carpenter by decision. Ramazan Temirov by decision. Jonathan Pearce. I'll take him by decision as well, but the knockout is always live there. Dan Argueta by decision. Julia Polastri by decision. And Junior Tafa by knockout. Those are my picks. As far as bets, I will be betting Royval. I will be betting Argueta, and I will be betting Gooden on the money line. I wanted to see if I had any props already written down that I will 100%. I'm still going through the props a little bit more. There was none early in the week that I knew I had to play, but there's some looks that I talked about throughout the video that I'm interested in. We'll talk about that more in my videos later on in the week. Check out Wager Wars tomorrow night, man. If you don't catch it live tomorrow night on this channel here, then make sure you go to the live tab after and check that out. Turn those post notifications on so you don't miss it. Click subscribe. Let me know in the comments y'all's bets, your favorite fighter on this card. Let's get into it, man, or your favorite pick, like the video. I appreciate you guys, man. Good luck on the bets. We'll catch you guys tomorrow night. Until then, make some smart bets. Use your head. Let's make some money again.